Plato says, "He who speaks the truth is the most hated of all people." Telling the truth will make you isolated and will make you look like the black sheep in the big herd. As human beings, we can be so cruel and so manipulative and lie so much that we lose sight of that which is really true. We do not see reality as it is, and when someone then actually tells us what the reality is, we hate that person. The prophets in the Bible, for example, are the best examples of people who spoke the truth, but at a very high cost. They had to live under the shame and under the shadow of society that did not accept the truths, the moral truths that the prophets were telling them. And it's not like our human society today does not have these kind of problems. Today we need probably a different kind of prophecy. Expressing the truth might come in different forms. But it still remains that in every society we need those people who tell us how things really are, who give us a reality check. And those people have to be courageous because they know they will be hated. They have to be courageous because they have to be foolish enough to go through all the trials and tribulations of human existence. Because to get to the truth of all the human issues that we face today, we have to uncover a lot of masks that people wear. We have to look deeper into the society, into those places where people don't usually go. We have to look at the deepest and highest moments, the deepest and highest parts of people's souls, to see what's really going on in the psyche of people. And as I've read the quote of Friedrich Nietzsche, the strength of a person's spirit depends on his ability to accept the truth. As I read that quote, I thought, well, that's pretty easy. I know what the truth is. I know it in its abstract form, what's supposed to be good, and how the ideal world should be. Isn't that the truth? But if you go deeper into these philosophies and all these grandiose ideals and utopias, and even the Christian message, or the supposedly Christian messages that are thrown around in society, then you start to realize, well, it seems as though our big and beautiful ideas of the world aren't actually expressing the truth or the reality that we really experience. Because, of course, reality is complicated and complex. It's not easy to see what people are really thinking or what people's true and deep intentions are. If I had to express every little negative and demonic thought that I have, I would really struggle. At the same time, it's so difficult to also talk optimistically about the world and the future of the world. But that's also part of speaking about the truth. And what I've learned from reading different authors now is that it helps to express all the feelings and the thoughts that you've had, but not in a manner that society necessarily accepts, but in a manner that you know is true to yourself, or in a manner that you know is authentic. Because you can't actually convince other people to stop lying and manipulating, but you can consistently try to tell yourself the truth. Try to remind yourself of the masks that you have worn and of the dark shadows that you might enter if you aren't conscious of the world around you and of yourself. And I think one of the biggest threats to modern human beings today is the censorship of our thoughts and our expressions and our visualizations of the true experiences that we have. And what I mean by that is when we are abused by someone, or we have been abused, and we have to talk about it, maybe just with ourselves or a friend, then sometimes we sugarcoat these truths. We sugarcoat the bad things that people have done to us. That person that manipulated us into doing something for them just so they could use us, or whatever example I can think of. There's always some darkness also that took place in an action that a person took against you that was abusive. There's always actually something deeper going on subconsciously in a manipulative situation. And if you can express those, even those subconscious or unconscious realities, the jealousy that the other person was feeling, or the deep sorrow that you were also feeling, expressing those strong and stark realities helps you actually remain truthful to yourself, despite the untruthfulness of the world, because we actually live in an upside down world. We live in a world that is contrary to true and ideal life. It is a convoluted and grey picture that we are actually trying to paint ourselves in. And I hope that they are, or that they will be, more truth tellers and more prophets who have the courage to actually speak up about what's really going on.